We live in a world where AI can spark your creative genius. It can supercharge your ideas and streamline your processes. Sounds amazing, right? But there's a catch. With great power comes great responsibility, especially when it comes to intellectual property, copyright and infringement law. The not so fun side of AI, but something all B2B marketers need to be aware of. Listen on to find out more. You're listening to the Content 10x podcast, where it's all about content repurposing. I'm Amy Woods, and I'm here to help you maximize your content and find smart ways to get your message in front of more of the right people, whilst also saving time. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Content 10x podcast. I'm your host, Amy Woods, and in this episode we're going to be looking at some of the legal and ethical implications of using generative AI as a B2B marketer. Now, as an agency, we're doing lots of learning about AI at the moment, not only because we create content for ourselves, but more so because we create content for our clients too. So we really want to understand AI in order to make the best decisions. And whilst we're trying to understand this world of AI, we've been sharing some fantastic episodes on the podcast about AI. So make sure you check them out. There was episode 311 on optimizing content for AI, and we had an AI expert, Christopher Penn, on episode 310, where we discussed AI search amongst many other things. Both really fantastic episodes, so be sure to check them out if you haven't already. In this episode, we're going to look at a different angle to using AI in the content creation process. It might sound like the slightly less exciting side, but as I mentioned already, I'm going to share the importance of us as marketers understanding any legal and ethical implications that come with using AI tools for creating content. So in this episode, I'll be covering some of the ways that AI is being used by marketing teams, the legal and ethical considerations of AI-generated content, and how important it is to protect your brand and your IP. But before I get to the main content, just to mention, if you want content repurposing tips and guidance, industry updates, inspiring stories, and exclusive news delivered straight to your inbox every 2 weeks, then join thousands of marketers, business owners, and creators and become a Content 10x insider. Just head to content10x.com/newsletter. Okay, so as AI continues to transform B2B marketing, it's so important to understand its huge potential, but also the pitfalls. As I mentioned, we'll explore how marketing teams are leveraging AI and the legal considerations we all need to keep in mind. But I must also say that, of course, I'm not sharing any legal advice here on this episode. I'm simply sharing what I've been learning along the way with my own research, and also myself and some members of the Content 10x team were fortunate enough recently to be invited to a presentation at a legal firm in my home city, where the experts from Marks & Clark talked us through key legal aspects to consider when it comes to AI for creative agencies. It was really fascinating, so I'll share what stood out to me that I think will be interesting for you as our audience. So first, let's start with how AI can be used in the content marketing space, because there are obviously lots and lots of ways, but here are some. So first, I'd say ideation. AI tools can assist in brainstorming ideas and formulating strategies and storyboarding. So think of it a bit like having a tireless assistant that's constantly feeding you new ideas to kickstart the creative process. Now, some ideas are going to be good, some not so much. You might use all of an idea or maybe part of an idea or none at all. And I think it's all about feeding in really good information to begin with to get good ideas coming out. AI is also really good for market research and competitor analysis, both important work to do when we're developing content marketing campaigns. So AI really excels at analysing vast amounts of data and providing insights into market trends and competitor strategies. This gives B2B marketers a competitive edge by enabling data-informed decision-making. I spoke about this in a previous episode 312, with our wonderful guest, Zonti Howe. She is the author of Data-Driven Personalization, the host of the Data-Driven Decisions podcast, and I'll put a link to all of this in the show notes. AI can also be great for task automation too, so it streamlines repetitive tasks and frees up time for more strategic and creative thinking. But then there's using AI to create content. So we've got tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity and Midjourney. You can ask these tools to write blog posts and articles. You can write a video script. You can design logos, create videos. It could write all of your social media. It could develop a brand. It could even write a book for you. And I'm not saying you should use AI for all or even any of these things, far from it, but I'm saying that you could. And this is where you really need to be careful from many angles, but putting aside quality considerations for now, what are the legal and ethical considerations of using these generative AI tools to create content for you? So I'm going to share 4 key considerations here. 1, copyright and trademark infringement. So copyright is a word that fills every creator with fear. But the scary truth is AI tools generate content based on existing data, which may include copyrighted material. An AI tool does not check any way whatsoever whether what it shares with you is protected or that you have the right to use it. So as marketers, we must ensure that the content we use or distribute doesn't infringe on existing copyrights. Now, the definition of copyright is the exclusive legal right given to the originator to print, publish, perform, film, or record literary, artistic, or musical material. So it covers many forms of content. And then there's trademark as well. So trademark protects distinctive designs, symbols, or expressions. And it's important to know AI tools don't distinguish between trademark material and content in the public domain. Trademarks can exist on words, designs, sounds, letters, numbers, colours, even the shape of items or packaging. For example, Apple have rights on their unique packaging. So what I'm saying here is when you use AI to generate content, there's a risk it might deliver up material that infringes on someone else's intellectual property rights. For example, if you ask AI to create a logo, it might incorporate elements that overlap with existing trademark designs. Or, as I mentioned, when creating written content, it might reproduce copyrighted text verbatim. For example, personally, I've created hundreds and hundreds of blog posts and podcast episodes on content repurposing. I've written a book about it, so lots of content on that topic. And now I'm seeing the AI tools dish out content about the topic that is almost taken word for word from my content. Obviously, it's really annoying. And if you were to use that content that AI gives you and then I read it, I'm going to immediately consider that you plagiarised my content. If it was really bad, maybe I would have to ask a lawyer to send a cease and desist notification. And obviously, that's just an example of what could happen, that you take content directly from one of these generative AI tools and you actually copying and plagiarising somebody else's content. And we're going to come on to protecting IP in just a moment. And then building on from this, number 2, let's look at the legal responsibility. So ChatGPT told me to simply doesn't work. It's important to know that as the user of AI tools, you bear the legal responsibility for any infringements if they could occur. So you can't shift the blame to the AI tool if you face legal action. Courts, at least in the UK so far, and I'm sure in other countries as well or soon, have already established that the human user, not the AI, is responsible for the output. So it's you that has to do the checks and make sure that you aren't infringing on any copyright, trademark or patent restrictions. Then 3, of course, there are the ethical considerations and human responsibility. As marketers, we really do need to respect the rights and efforts of other creators. So I believe that's why it's super important to consider being open about your use of AI in your content creation. And ultimately, it's always vital to have a human reviewing and editing AI-generated content to ensure it meets your standards and doesn't contain anything that could prove problematic. And 4, be really mindful of what you share with and feed into the AI tools, and at least try to understand their T's and C's and how you can protect your own intellectual property. AI tools, they all come with their own set of terms and conditions. So are you clear on what they are? If you use these tools, now I'm not assuming anything, of course, but I'm guessing that majority of us don't read the fine print when it comes to something like this. But the reality is many AI tools retain rights to the data you input. This means information you provide could potentially be used to generate content for others. For example, have you ever used Midjourney? Because in their T's and C's, they say what you give them provides them with worldwide, no charge, loyalty-free, irrevocable rights to reproduce and produce derivatives of, share, display and distribute that content. So you need to think about these things with the AI tools. And this also means we need to be cautious about inputting sensitive company information or, for example, client data into AI tools because we don't know where it's going to end up. So how do you protect your brand and intellectual property? First off, it's crucial to implement AI policies within your organisation. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, sit down with your team and develop clear guidelines on how and when to use AI tools. This way, at least everyone is on the same page. Understand the T's and C's of the tools you use and have rules as to what tools you use and how you use them. And educate your team. Make sure everyone understands the legal and ethical implications of using AI. It's not just about following rules, it's about creating a culture of responsible AI usage. And then when you're choosing AI tools, look at the ones that have partnerships with content providers. They're more likely to have safeguards in place to reduce the risk of infringement, so it's worth doing a bit of research here. Document how you use AI in your content creation process. It might seem like extra work now, but if you ever need to demonstrate due diligence, you'd be glad that you did this. So we're working really hard on all of this right now at Content 10x. So to wrap up, AI presents incredible opportunities to generate new ideas, streamline processes, conduct research, and of course create content. However, it's really important to know about the potential legal and ethical issues. Like I mentioned, I'm in no way trying to give you legal advice here. I definitely don't have the qualifications or insurance for that, but I hope this was a really helpful food for thought for you. In our next episode, we'll be joined by Ian Anderson-Gray, and we're going to explore specific AI tools in more detail and techniques for B2B marketers. And we look at staying human whilst using AI. And we'll touch on some of these ethical and legal considerations as well. So be sure to tune into that one. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, then go ahead and hit subscribe in whatever app you listen to, so you'll get notifications of our new episodes as they get released. So there you have it. I hope you found this episode really helpful and super useful. I'd love to know if there are any other aspects of AI and how we use it as B2B marketers that you'd like to know about. So please do get in touch with me. The best way is to connect with me and send a message on LinkedIn. I'm Amy Woods, founder of Content 10x. I'm sure you'll be able to find me. And speaking of Content 10x, so we are the world's leading content repurposing agency. Our expert team transform B2B content into multiple formats and distribute across various platforms. We help our clients to maximize their reach and their impact. We take their core content and create lots of high quality, engaging assets, including videos and podcasts, social media content, and more. We also help with content creation as well as repurposing and content strategy as well. So if you need help with any of this, then head to content10x.com or simply get in touch, email info@content10x.com. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to this episode. Hope you found it useful. All that's left to say is thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.